Can everybody hear me? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Oh, well, I decided to do it this format. I know nobody's going to hear this stream right now, but I thought I'd do it this format and get it started. So, hello everybody. Today is November the 12th. It's 8:45 in the evening, and I thought I would talk about my week. So, you saw the title. I win the lottery. Well, not actually. Actually, it was the worst thing possible. So, everybody, all of you know about what happened last Friday, where I ended up in the hospital in the emergency room for what we thought was pneumonia. Well, it ended up not being pneumonia. So on the follow-up on Tuesday, I am talking with my nurse practitioner, and she's wanting to follow up about the shortness of breath. So I'm telling her about the shortness of my breath, and this was all through messaging, through the chat, or not really chat feature, but through the messaging on the My Chart through KU. And so we're talking back and forth, and I tell her about she's wanting to know about the shortness of breath. So I tell her I have the shortness of breath, and that happened on the Sunday and Monday after that Friday, where I thought it was just shortness of breath from the pneumonia, or what I thought was pneumonia. Then I tell her about what I felt in my legs, which I felt was lactic acid burn. And I get a response from, actually, I don't get a response, I get a phone call. I get a phone call from the nurse practitioner, and she's like, Ken, we want you to go into and get a CT scan right away. I'm like, okay. And it's 4:30 in the evening. It's like, it's kind of late. Everybody's kind of leaving the hospital. I know that. She's like, I really think you need to go into the hospital and get a CT scan just to check on a few things. I'm like, okay. So I wait a little bit, waiting for them to tell me where to go, and I get the response, and they tell me, okay, go to this area, and we can get you in right away. So I head out, and I tell my wife, listen, don't worry about it. Nothing's going to go wrong. Famous last words. I'm going to be fine. I'll drive myself down there. So that's what I did. I drove myself down there, and I go in, get me right in, and they're like, listen, we want you to wait here in the interior waiting room while we read. Actually, they took the pictures, and then they had me waiting on the bed for quite a while, which was kind of unusual, because the CT beds are not that comfortable. So they finally got me up, and they said, listen, they are still reading the charts. Go ahead and sit in the interior waiting room. And that's what I did. I sat in the interior waiting room. And I get a call again from my nurse practitioner, and she's like, you have a pulmonary embolism. in your chest, in your lungs. And I'm like, okay, I know what an embolism is. This is not great news. What do I do? I want you to get over to the emergency room right away. Okay. I guess I don't really have a choice at this point. So, they're like, do you want to be taken over there? Do you want to drive? And I'm like, I'm right around the corner. I'd rather just drive. So I drive myself over there, and I get there. It took me more time to find a parking spot than it did to actually get in there. So I get in there, and by this time I've informed my wife, and I'm like, honey, I was wrong. I do have a pulmonary embolism, and so they're trying to get me into the ER right away. So I get in there, and of course I'm waiting around for a very long time. It's very busy. It's in the evening. Of course, everybody's busy. Half the people in there are waiting for rides that have been called by social work. So it's a very long wait. Finally, I get in there. And it's rather interesting because normally last time I just walked in. This time I was in a wheelchair. I was in not a wheelchair, but it was a chair with wheels in it. So, but it wasn't the normal wheelchair. It's a specific type of chairs they have at KU. And instead of, they're like, no, just stay where you are. And when they did that, I was like, okay, just how bad is this thing? So they wheel me back all the way to the very back of the emergency room, and I hate going to the back of any place because usually that means I don't get any service. The next thing I know, I am inundated. I mean, inundated. There's got to be a tiny little emergency room for myself, and there's got to be at least 7 people in my room. And I'm meeting doctor after doctor after doctor, and with their fellows and their residents, and I've got nurses up the wazoo, and they're checking me. And my blood pressure is through the roof. I mean, because I have no earthly idea what's going on. They're trying to keep me calm. I mean, my blood pressure is 181 over 124. It's high. And here comes this doctor, and she's got a portable ultrasound machine in there, and she's like, I need you to pull down your gown, because by this time I'm got a strip down to the waist and got a hospital gown on. And so they're pulling that on, or pushing that on. And I got this doctor doing this. I've got another doctor over on the other side trying to talk to me about his stuff, and he's listening to my heart. And I'm going. My wife is sitting there, and we're both going, what in the hell is going on? Because nobody's telling us. Both of us are getting the sense that this is very, very bad. Because I didn't know what the CT scan had shown. And so I got in there about 5, and finally they came in and they said, we are admitting you. I'm like, oh, really? I said, yes. I'm like, okay. And by this time, I've seen a pulmonologist, a hematologist, a heart doctor, a cardiologist, an oncologist, the on-call oncologist, um, and a lung specialist. 5 different doctors so far. And I come later to find out that that is the ER emergency pulmonary embolism response team. It's like, oh, great, I have my own team. Perfect. Just wonderful. So, you know, just, I mean, there must have been 40 doctors at one point, you know, the five main doctors and all their students. And we were packed into this tiny, tiny little, you know, probably 8 by 12 room, if that. And it was just a tiny little room, and we were all packed in there. And they're like, we're going to take you upstairs. So they take me all the way up to the 11th floor, which is the oncology ward. And they take me all the way up to the room. And they're like, well, you must have been feeling bad. I'm like, I don't feel a thing. I'm fine. I mean, I'm feeling great. It's like, well, you seem nervous. It's like, what do you think? I've had 40 doctors visit me. I've got so much stuff going on. I haven't eaten dinner. I haven't seen anything. I don't know what's going on. You know, obviously it's something very, very dangerous. But I don't know the first thing. You know, I've had so many tests taking place on me in the last 5 hours that, you know, obviously something's going on. So they finally get me all the way upstairs, and I get settled in. Huge room, absolutely gorgeous room. Wow, that was really nice. I mean, yes, it was a private room, which I was surprised by, but it was for oncology because it was just a really, really nice room. But they had, and I mean, they were hooking me up to monitors. And here's my heart monitor, and here's this, and here's listening to my lungs, and here's that, and you know. So I mean, they're doing everything they can. We're both sitting there, and it's like we haven't even seen. We don't even know what's going on. Luckily, I did eat. I had a really great nurse who's like, "Oh, we got bento boxes," and I'm like, "I'll take one." He's like, "Well, what do you want?" And I'm like, "I don't care, just something with protein in it. I'm starving at this point." And once again, really good turkey sandwich. I don't know what sort of brand they cut at the hospital, but it's a really good turkey sandwich. Or I was just so god awful hungry that I didn't care at that point. So anyway, I get in there and I meet my nurses, and great people again, and trying to get settled down. And I am, of course, they're starting me on all this medication. I've got this heparin drip, and it's been going for 5 hours. And, they keep me on it and just pushing this heparin into my system to try and thin my blood, so my body could start absorbing the actual clot. And then they're telling me that can take anywhere between 3 to 6 months. But now that I'm now on blood thinner, it's like, oh my word, what the heck? So here's what happened. I told you about the burning in my legs. Well, that was DVT. That was deep vein thrombosis. That was clots forming in my legs. I thought it was just cancer. I thought it was a reaction to the chemotherapy. I didn't think it was that. What they told me was you have a likelihood of 5% of getting deep vein thrombosis from surgery. Then with pancreatic cancer, that goes, or just about any cancer, it goes up to about 20 to 30%. Pancreatic cancer puts you at even higher risk. So I won the lottery. just not the lottery I wanted. A couple of clots had broken loose and had traveled all the way up to my lungs. And the clot was big enough that it's in all 5 lobes. I still have it. I still have the clot. It's still there. I'm on blood thinners now. I'm taking Lovenox shots. I have to give myself a shot every single day. 2 shots. One in the morning, one in the evening. Yeah, I'm a hype. And that's what it is. I spent 3 days, just about. Yeah, I spent 3 days. I got in Tuesday. All day. No, 2 days. 2 days. I got in Tuesday, or got there Tuesday, all day Wednesday, went home late afternoon Thursday. So 2 full days. And Thursday night was, or actually, Tuesday night was rough. Just, I just could not sleep. It was, I think I probably got maybe 1 or 2 hours. I just couldn't sleep. I was too hot, and my blood pressure was still high, and here I was back in the hospital. It was a rough night. I hardly got any sleep. Then the next morning came, and I got to meet my morning nurses, or my day nurses, and a couple of great guys. And then I started meeting doctors. And that's when they told me just how close I had come. And it was close. All because a nurse practitioner was asking me questions about, well, what's up with your pneumonia? And then she realized that's not pneumonia. We got to get you to the hospital. She didn't want to alarm me. She didn't want to let me know what was going on, which was fine. But once again, another complication from cancer. I didn't know that deep vein thrombosis was a possibility. I didn't know clots were a possibility from cancer. It was rough. I mean, what do you do? How in the world do you, everything, absolutely everything I do, or everything I feel now? I mean, I was already paranoid. I was already scared about, what about this pain? What about that pain? What's going on here? What's going on there? Now I'm even more paranoid because I just thought it was a reaction to the chemo. I thought that's all it was. But no, it was deep vein thrombosis. I was developing blood clots in my legs. And they kept coming in, they kept asking me, excuse me, they kept asking me, were you feeling bad? And I'm like, no, I wasn't feeling bad. I mean, I had a little shortness of breath, but I wasn't feeling bad at all. I felt fine. And that's the crazy thing. I felt fine. I felt fine through this entire, well, okay, no, I didn't feel fine through this entire thing. But I mean, I don't know what to tell you. When you have cancer, you can't trust anything. Even something as simple as what you thought was a lactic acid burn. That's what it felt like, a lactic acid burn in my muscles. Isn't. Every single pain, every single hurt, every single thing that changes, I got to write down now. Every symptom, everything. You can't trust your body anymore. I mean, I didn't think you could before, but you can't at all now. What am I supposed to do? What do you do when your body betrays you and then continues to betray you? How do you deal with that? Wednesday night, I was really low because these are the feelings that I was having. I called up my wife and we talked about it. If you go through something like this, I hope you have somebody that you can rely on. I hope it's a spouse. Because I tell you what, without my wife, I don't know if I could do this. I'm pretty sure I couldn't. Would I want to live? Yes. But in those moments of being completely and totally alone in the middle of the night, or you're in the hospital room, and you got machines beeping all around, and you're only realizing that how close you came, and you're fighting for your life. I hope you have somebody that you can reach out to. And if you do have somebody, I hope that person sticks with you. Because you can go through thick and thin and you can have a lot of good times, but if you don't have a person that will actually stick with you, it doesn't mean a thing. Adversity doesn't make character, it reveals it. Got out of there late yesterday. Physical therapy stopped by to make sure that I knew that I had to increase my walking, because walking will help my body absorb the embolisms a lot easier. So I have to start that, even though it's freezing cold and snowing outside. So now we're looking at everything. If there's anything, any possibility of me developing something, we're looking at it. Because I seem to be going for a record of how many points can I plot on the chart. So I better end the stream here. I hope you guys are doing okay. What seems. We'll be seeing you soon. Hopefully I'm back on schedule again. But I'll see you guys. I'll talk to you soon.